Good day. I'm Edwin Valles, your host for Be Not Afraid, one of the programs of Faith Watch TV sponsored by the CBCP Social Media Office. In this program, in this podcast, we listen to the stories of LGBT persons journeying through their Catholic faith. So, as we begin the year, alam naman natin na isa sa mga pinaka-popular festivals in the Philippines will be the Feast of the Nazareno. So, si Poong Nazareno, so Senyor Nazareno. And sa episode po na ito, pag-usapan po natin yung devotion to the Nazareno from the perspective of an LGBT person. So pinagpala po tayo na we have a guest who has same-sex attraction but also has a deep devotion to the Nazareno. So let's all welcome si Brother Marco J.
Hello, good afternoon po. Good day sa lahat ng viewers ko na
okay. Yan, so maraming salamat So medyo natagalan yung from the previous episode namin, pero ngayon timing po yung episode natin kasi sa January 9 will be the Feast Day of Nazareno. So yun. So Marco, pwede mo bang sabihin sa amin or sa mga podcast viewers kung paano ba nagsimula ang iyong devotion mo sa Poong Nazareno? Nung bata ka pa ba, meron ka ng devotion dito?
So, yung talagang yung start talaga ng devotion ko sa Poong Nazareno started 2009. Pero tingin ko, reflecting before, parang I think parang it was a series of devotion bago ko siguro to understand my devotion to the Black Nazarene. It would take siguro few years, my earlier childhood yung parang nag-start yung parang experience ko with devotions. So probably I would start with parang nakwento ng nanay ko, sabi niya na nung bata daw ako, dinadala nila ako ni Papa sa Quiapo. So I think na doon na nag-start nung yung parang presence ni Poong Nazareno sa buhay ko. Nag-start na siya doon even if nung very young pa ako. And then pinanganak sa Maynila and growing up din until grade 2 at the age of 8. Parang nandun yung kultura ng devotion So sa amin sa Malate, so we have Our Lady of Good Remedies na devotion, and then yung Quiapo din. So ang mga tao talaga they have their own devotions talaga dun sa mga mga paboritong devotion na Catholic. So doon ako lumaki na doon na ko yung na-invite ko yung ganong klaseng kultura ng Catholic. But then when yung mama ko kasi nag-OFW, so parang napunta kami sa Cagayan de Oro, parang pumunta kami sa relatives, and then nawala yung ganong klaseng kultura sa life ko. Yung relatives ko kasi yung auntie ko is a Baptist. So parang yung pag-devotion, yung ganong klaseng experience nawala rin sa buhay ko. Siguro nung lumalaki din ako, elementary and high school, parang hindi ko rin masyadong feel yung Baptist. So, parang nagtatago ako parang nagsisimba ako sa katedral sa Cagayan de Oro ng pasikreto sa Siguro yung pag-start ko ng pagkakaroon ng novena or pag-devotion is started when yung college ako. So kasi engineering kasi yung kurso ko nung dati. So parang meron kasi kaming quiz bowl, parang regional quiz bowl, tapos medyo pressured din ako talaga kasi I was the team captain of that quiz bowl. And then habang isimba ko sa katedral sa Cagayan de Oro, parang nakita ko ng mga leaflets ng mga chain novenas ang tawag. So parang mag-iwan ka ng 10 copies of this to the churches para matupad yung yung wish mo, parang gano'n. So sabi ko, baka kailangan ko itong gawin para ba talaga kami para maka-get through kami dito sa sa quiz bowl na to. So what I did that, yung nag-iwan ako ng copies, and then nag-text novena din ako bago mag-quiz bowl, and then by God's grace nanalo kami as third place din sa Pero it was very kasi nga hindi naman engineering school yung school namin, but then it was very victorious for us. So nung nangyari yun, parang nirealize pag nag-devotion pala ako, parang ginagrant ni Lord yung yung mga yung hinihiling ko. Although prior to that, medyo nagtampo kay Lord kasi may hinihiling ako, hindi niya grant. But then at this time, parang tinupad niya yung petition ko. And then come to college and then graduation, nag-board exam ako sa Cebu. I mean, nagkaroon din ako ng devotion to the Santo Niño. ng Cebu. Kasi nga, parang kailangan ko pumasa ng board exam. So, nilevel up ko na yung devotion ko. So, nagsimba ako sa Santo Niño for almost every day. And then, marami din akong novena that time. And then, by God's mercy ulit, nakapasa ako ng board exam. And then, yun. So, na-realize ko na parang pag ginagawa ko parati itong pag-devotion, parang nagkakaroon na, parang tinutupad ni Lord yung healing ko. And then, nung graduate ako, so wala naman akong parang siguro commitment kay Lord. So I just go on my way kung nung after nang grant yung yung petition ko. Tapos when I was transferred pabalik sa Manila, so dito ako na-assign sa sa first job ko sa engineering sa telecom. Tapos ni-assign ako sa Quezon City. So nagkaroon ako ng career crisis. Parang gusto ko kasi lumipat, medyo mahirap yung sitwasyon ko doon sa parang hindi yung yung compensation and hindi sapat, and then I was providing for my family, so kailangan kong lumipat ng ibang job. But then I was having a difficult time na maghanap ng engineering job. But so what happened is I just accepted anong trabaho na medyo mas mataas yung sweldo. Pero deep in my heart parang nagkaroon ako ng hurt kasi nga parang ito yung pinaghirapan ko yung kurso yun sa engineering parang board exam and everything, and then medyo malayo yung yung na puntahan kong work. So naalala ko ulit na diba, na pag nag-devotion ako, so gusto kong humiling kay Lord na sana ibalik ako sa engineering job. So that time hindi ko alam kung when was the first time na nagpunta ako sa Quiapo. So maybe it was the first few months, and I decided to have a devotion to the Black Nazarene. So ang ginagawa ko after work, nung bago kong work, so I go to Quiapo almost every day for 6 months para i-grant lang ni Lord yung healing ko ng engineering job. And by God's mercy again, He granted His job, yung job na hinihiling ko sa Kanya. And then na-realize ko that time, sabi ko, sige Lord, since grant mo yung yung petition ko, I would try to go to Mass every Sunday as much as possible. So parang siguro yun yung term na pamamanata eh. Although before hindi ko pa alam yung yung pamamanata, pero siguro yun yung parang act of utang na loob sa Diyos na you give back to God. So yun yung ginawa ko. So nagsimba ko naging regular na ako mass goer for Sunday. So yun na yung nangyari. Although during that time I was also active in the gay lifestyle. So I have a relationship with other guys, and tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung devotion ko kasi that time naman wala din naman ako narinig na parang my lifestyle is a conflict with my devotion, so parang ganun. So I just go with the flow, but then nag-deepen yung yung devotion ko and yung pag-isimba ko that time.
So maganda, thank you for sharing that, no. So I think what the podcast viewers heard, no, so yung stages of devotion. So yung nagsimula sa pamilya, na dinadala ka ng parents mo kasi lumaki ka sa Malate, no. So Malate malapit lang naman sa Quiapo, so dinadala ka ng mga magulang mo doon. And then nag-OFW yung nanay mo, and then you had to move to Cagayan de Oro, and then nung nag-aral ka na, yun yung next step of devotion. Siguro what we will call marang transactional, diba? Quote unquote. No? So marami talagang college students actually, and yung mga mag-board exams specifically na nagkakaroon ng devotion lahat, no? So St. Jude Tadeus, etc. So or Perpetual Help, or ito in your case si Nazareno. No? So nagiging siyang transactional, parang type of devotion. And then parang several years after, during a career crisis, no? So in the darkness of such a crisis, you found light in the devotion to the Nazareno. So ang ganda, you were able to share with us yung deepening or iba't ibang stages of devotion. I'm sure yung mga podcast viewers natin can relate to your personal experiences when it comes to a deepening devotion to the Nazareno. So pag-uusapan natin yan yung actual event, no? So tama ba na yung pag sinabi yung adult ka na, yung nagtatrabaho ka na, when you say devotee ka na Nazareno, did you actually go to Quiapo during January 9 or yung mga translation na activities that they do?
So yung during that time na parang na pumunta ako sa Quiapo. So that was kasi per devotee iba-iba experience eh. So for me, yung experience ko is yun nga yung sabi ko Lord na magsisimba na ako kasi hindi ako nagsisimba palagi, parang ganun. So, yun yung ano ko, yun yung panata ko. So, I did that. So, every Sunday nasa Quiapo ako. So, dun yung, kasi nasa Malati lang naman kami. So, I mean, sa Nandes Bukid kami nakatira nun. So, talagang every Sunday, nasa Quiapo ako nagsisimba. Yun yung talagang, doon ako nagsisimba talaga. And then, yun yung ginagawa ko. And then, every feast day, so every January 9, so nandun ako sa Quiapo. So, yun yung parang, yun yung parang part ng aking commitment.
So, a response, di ba? So, yun yung, siguro it's a grateful response because the Nazareno, you felt that the Nazareno helped you during your career crisis. No? So, as a grateful response, you committed yourself to parang mag-attend ng Sunday Mass sa Quiapo, di ba? Every Sunday. And then also, pumunta dun sa Translation, yung the events leading up to January 9. No? So, mag-zero in muna tayo dun sa January 9. No? So, I think hindi naman kailan, no? So I mean lahat most Filipino Catholics will be familiar with kung ano nangyayari during Translation, no? So ang dami-daming tao and mostly mga lalaki, no? So they're trying to get close to the image na dinadala, no? So I remember nung sa isang sumakay ako ng taxi, nakipagchikahan ako dun sa taxi driver. Sinabi niya na minsan daw nagawa niya na nakapag translation tapos nalapitan niya nahawakan niya yung Nazareno, no? So pinapakwento ko sa kanya kung ano nangyari doon. Sabi niya parang puro bugbog daw siya, parang ang sakit-sakit daw ng katawan kasi talagang sa mass of people na medyo nagbabalyahan yung mga tao. Hindi naman iiwasan yun, no? Lahat kasi gusto mong lumapit doon sa santo. So I think yung scenario na yon na parang karamihan mga lalaki in a parang in a very brusco, rough type, no? Even yung image na ni Nazareno mismo is macho, di ba? So I mean dark skinned, and then he parang he was valiantly carrying the cross, no? So ito yung mga images na siguro masasabi natin yung typical lalaki, no? So but yung I suppose for many LGBT persons, yung typical lalaki may also mean yung siguro yung toxic masculinity. So yun na, I mean specifically dun sa procession, di ba, yung nagsisiksikan, nag-aagawan, hindi maiwasan magbabalyahan yung mga tao. I mean it's such a very physical type of devotion. So in your personal experience, so I suppose as LGBT person, so both of us are, no? So siguro we can talk more about our respective experiences with what we feel were toxic masculinity, no? So nung bata ka ba, nung lumalaki ka ba, paano mo na-experience yung pagkalalaki, no? So in terms of your interaction with your mga kapitbahay na lalaki or mga kaklaseng lalaki, no? So maybe you would like to share that to our podcast viewers.
So yun. So I think growing up, kasi yung mother ko is OFW, di ba? So yung naiwan sa amin yung father ko. So yung in honor of my father, he is a very good man, respectable man. So he took care of us, yung mga kailangan namin. Although may trabaho siya, nagpapadyak siya before sa Malate. He took care of our needs, yung mga pero mostly si mama talaga yung provide ng needs namin. He took care of us, parang siya nagluluto, siya naglalabas sa amin, parang ganun. So he really took care of us. But I realized back then, so parang since I have SSA, so I have same-sex attraction, parang I needed an extra, attention and affection and affirmation from a man. And which is hindi na niya na-provide yung yung ganung klaseng environment para sa akin. Later on, I realized kasi nga I heard his story, parang he was orphan when he was teenager. So I parang eventually na-realize ko na parang yun yung alam niyang gawin, di ba? Yun yung alam niyang gawin na to show his being a father. But then I have some homosexual tendencies. Parang I needed that extra affection and care and affirmation from a man. So yun yung hindi ko naranasan sa tatay ko. He was quite emotionally disconnected sa akin. Hindi ko siya wala ko masyadong naririnig na ano sa kanya, yung parang guidance or something like that. Parang he's a type of a father na bahala ka, basta mabait ka. Bahala ka kung anong gusto mong gawin, parang ganun. So wala akong ganun experience from him. And then with my other parang experiences with other men, especially sa Malate, dun sa looban, tawag namin dun sa namin dati sa lugar namin sa looban. Parang syempre marami mga teenager na mga maangas, mga ganun. And then here I am na parang very effeminate. Dati very effeminate ako at saka yung parang yung medyo lampa-lampa, parang ganun. So they would tease me na parang yung baklang komang. Kasi actually the komang is yung parang yung parang yung kamay is parang disformed, parang ganun. So kaya baklang komang yung tawag nila sa akin. And I was very hurt. Parang na-hurt ako that time na parang I was being put into the side na parang yan. So nagkaroon ako ng parang distant with men, yung parang to belong to a certain group of men. Parang nagkaroon ako ng alienation from that. Although may mga kalaro naman akong lalaki, but mostly babae din yung mga kalaro ko dati because I felt safe on the women ng mga kalaro ko. I have few mga male na kalaro and I have parang very close na kalaro that time. So parang, but then when we transferred sa Cagayan de Oro, nawala lahat ng mga kalaro ko, so parang I was very isolated, parang ganun. So parang in-isolate ko yung sarili ko with the men's world. I felt that men either parang put me to the side na hindi ako belong or parang disconnected, would not put his attention on me, would not parang show his affection, parang ganun. And there was another medyo bad experience that happened to me when I was young. I was sexually molested or abused by a male neighbor. So parang ganun yung conception ko of a man before. It's either they would ignore me or they would show us affection or put me to the side or reject me or either use me as an object, parang ganun. So that was the negative experience ko growing up when I was
So, thank you for sharing that, no? Yung, ako rin when I was growing up naman, hindi ko masyado trip yung mga boisterous activities of my boy neighbors, no? So, ang preferred ko mga kalaro, yung mga babaeng neighbors. So, kasi feeling ko, yung hindi ka masasaktan or hindi ka mapapagod masyado, I mean, ganun yung preference ko, no? So, babalik tayo, no? So, with that experience, yung father mo is like, siguro yung silent type na provider. Pero siguro as a kid, you were asking for more, yung affectionate type of a father. So based at least in your young mind, feeling mo medyo kulang yung father mo, although he did his best to provide for you. No? So that's one. And then yung mga neighbors mo, parang tinutokso-tokso ka kasi you're medyo effeminate. No? So, and then pagdating mo naman sa Cagayan de Oro, there was a sense of isolation, plus there was also a sexual abuse experience. No? So, with all these experiences with masculinity, nung adult ka na, so paano mo pinerceive yung presence of maybe 90% of males in the Nazareno devotion, especially during the translation parang leading up to January 9. So, ano yung experience mo about it? Na parang natakot ka ba or did it affect your devotion to the Nazarene or so maybe you can share with us ano yung mga processing mo when it comes to that. So as in pumarada ka ba? As in sumama ka ba doon, lumapit ka ba doon or nagantay ka lang sa simbahan, ganyan. Paano ka nag-attend ng January 9 festivities?
Siguro I would describe my relationship with guys around me, especially nasa engineering field ako eh.
Okay.
So I would characterize that with the railings ng simbahan ng Quiapo. Alam mo ba yung di ba? Tingin ko very very distinctive yun sa lahat ng simbahan siguro sa buong Pilipinas. Ang yung Quiapo lang yung may railings na bakal. Diba? So I think kasi during the feast day, it would protect the mass goer and the devotees na mamamasan. Kasi doon sila mag-rush doon sa gitna sila. So that would put a barrier. Parang ganun din yung relationship with other men before. So although I've been working with engineering, so nagkaroon ako ng certain parang barrier. Parang nagkaroon ako ng barrier with them na parang I show up na parang I'm a man, parang ganun. And then but then yung real deep inside hindi ko napapakita sa kanila. Parang just to show off parang showing off lang. So wala talagang deep connection. So I just parang pretend or parang project something na hindi naman ako, parang ganun. So yun yung naging relationship ko with other men. And then siguro providentially nung feast with the Black Nazarene, parang although may railings to protect us, parang pero there was parang a unity in devotion eh. Parang when we're celebrating the Feast of Nazarene, parang we were united. All of us are brothers dun sa ano na yun. So nagtutulungan kami para walang madisgrasya, para walang So recently I just parang na ako na mag-provide ng bottled water dun sa mga So it's a very spiritual kind of brotherhood yung na-experience namin sa Nazareno. So tingin ko sa mga viewers natin, yung mga talaga hindi na-experience yung talagang devotion, they would think na it's very chaotic or parang ang gulo. But then when you're really devoting, parang ang mga tao doon sila nagtutulungan talaga. Parang we're sharing our devotion to the buong Nazareno as one people. So parang in that way, parang nagkaroon ako ng spiritual connection with my brothers na devotees din. And then siguro doon din nagkaroon ng parang dahan-dahan na healing sa buhay ko yung pag open up ng barriers and then to be open up to other men more personally.
Ganda. So you started yung description mo was with the barrier, no? So yung barrier kasi is like exactly your words, no? Parang safety net siya, no? So yung mga mamamasan doon sila sa gitna, pero there's a barrier. Pero kasi when you look at the barrier, you are looking at them, no? So parang ganyan, magkatingin kayo. Pero but by God's grace siguro, no? So yung in that practice of the devotion, nakita mo na imbes na tignan mo sila with the barrier separating you from them, no? So you instead recognize that both of you, sila yung mamamasan at saka kayo yung nasa safe zone, we're looking at Christ, no? So kumaga imbes na nakaganyan, nakaharap kayo kay Jesus Christ, no? So and because all of you were focused on Christ sa kay Poong Nazareno, no? So hindi mo masyado napansin yung barrier between you, but rather what unites both of you, all of you, no? So yun na, as you said, no, you went beyond yung siguro, let's put it, yung the toxic part of it, yung rough and tumble of it all, but rather you were able to see what unites both of you, yung deep devotion you to the Nazareno. So siguro yun na rin yung last question natin for this part of the episode, no? So based on your personal experience, so yung pagiging emotionally distant ng father mo, yung niloloko ka ng mga kapitbahay mo or tinutokso, no? So and then also yung sexual abuse experience with a man, no? So based on your negative experience with a man, sa tingin mo, paano ka nagkaroon ng debosyon sa Poong Nazareno na isang lalaki? Diba? So, kasi ang normal thinking ng mga tao is because of your negative experience with masculinity, as you shared, no? Bakit hindi ka na lang devotee ni Mary, for example? No? So, maraming LGBT persons, ganun yung naging express devotion nila kay Mama Mary. Kasi nga, yung experience nila with male figures is negative, pero si Mary is a female figure, no? Pero bakit sa tingin mo ikaw, what drew you to the Poong Nazareno who is very masculine, no? So maybe you'd like to share that reflection to our podcast viewers.
Siguro tingin ko nga yung kinuwento ko kanina na yung nanay ko kasi nagkukursilyo din before. So meron siyang devotion sa Sacred Heart. So nung habang lumalaki ako, nakikita ko yung image ng Sacred Heart. So parang growing up, I have this kind of parang presence ni Jesus. Yung parang ganun, yung parang silent presence kumbaga. So he was not really parang very personal to me, but there was a silent presence. So parang tingin ko, Kasi yung Sacred Heart namin parang nakatingin sa'yo. Kung saan ka pumunta, tumitingin yung Sacred Heart. So parang that time, parang he was watching over me. Parang I felt that. So tingin ko yung image ni Jesus Christ as a person is really impressed on me very early on. Aside from my mother and my parents bringing me to the Quiapo. So yung Sacred Heart, and then nung sa Santo Niño. So tingin ko it's very easy for me to tingin ko it was tingin ko it was destined for me to be devoted to the Nazarene, because parang nagkaroon ako ng previous images with parang connection. Although as an SSA person, kasi nga parang tingin ko it was the figure of Christ is attractive as well to me, kasi nga yung case ko, I was very really emotionally dependent with a man. So yun yung parang habol ko before I have para magkaroon ng jowa, para di ba yung talagang magkaroon ng deep romantic emotional experience with another man. Pero parang doing that kind of relationship, parang it's kind of transactional parang you give me this feeling, I'll give you that feeling. Pero with my experience with the pag-devotion ko sa Poong Nazareno, parang it made me realize that parang I don't have to give, because parang si Lord talaga yung nag-give lang siya ng give sa akin without asking anything in return, without judging me, without parang, di ba, looking at me whenever, kung ano man yung state ko in life, whether nagkakasala pa rin ako or something. He's just present and parang He's willing to accompany me. Tingin ko nga yung napakaganda nung image ng Nazarene for us, like parang LGBT or SSA persons, kasi nga parang very distinct yung image niya, kasi he's a parang moving image, di ba? Yung parang yung yung image ni Nazareno is parang parang journeying towards the Calvary parang ganun. So parang in a way I was drawn to journey with Jesus Christ in His cross. Parang there was a time nga parang I experienced na parang yung sumusunod ako sa kanya, he's carrying my own cross, parang ganun. So parang tingin ko he is accompanying, di ba, image. So napaka nung accompaniment ni Jesus na parang in-accompany na tayo sa lahat ng stages ng life natin. Especially siguro sa akin as SSA, parang I'm drawn to the male figure, parang that. So eventually parang inaakay niya ko in the stages of healing na papunta dun sa aking destination with God.
Yeah, so first summarize ko lang yung sinabi mo. So first yung siguro yung the ever presence na nung bata ka pa lang, you were saying na yung Sacred Heart of Jesus nga, no, yung image niya was always present to you. In fact, di ba, parang tinitignan ka nga yan. So meron din kami sa bahay ng ganung image sa Sacred Heart. No? So yung ever presence figure of Christ in your life. Second, yung naramdaman mo na this person, Jesus Christ, is always gives, no? So hindi siya transactional. Maybe comparing your relationship with other men, no? So, and then thirdly, yung presence and always giving also translate to accompaniment, no? So kasi nga yung image ni Poong Nazareno is buhat-buhat na yung cross papuntang Kalbaryo. So feeling mo na nandun siya, parang whatever it is you're going through, He's there with you. So, yan. So, pag-usapan, so yun lang po yung time natin for the first episode, and I think it's a good way to end the first part of our interview. No? So, dun sa next part po natin, next interview natin, sa part 2 will be, I will be asking you, Marco, to share talaga yung specific religious experience mo with the Nazareno event. No? So, pag ninilayan pa natin, pag-usapan pa natin yung nabanggit mo na bakit ba naisip mo na yung image ni Nazareno is ideal for LGBT persons. I suppose you're speaking from your personal experience. No? So I think parang our podcast viewers would like to hear more of that. So until that next episode, so I hope sasamahan niyo po kami dun sa part 2 ng aming interview on the Nazareno and the LGBT person. So until then, again, this is your host, Edwin Valles, reminding you that Jesus Christ, whatever it is that we're going through in life, He constantly tells us, lovingly tells us, it is I, do not be afraid.